Now the safety engineering is the key is changing now. Now it is becoming safety and security now, with lots of bad neighbors around our country. The security of process industry has also become a very sort of a questionable one. And there are a lot of intelligence that the government of India is getting. The process industry, which is a sort of a diligent source of our country, could be affected or attacked at any time. And both in terms of bringing down the intelligence as well as in terms of bringing down the asset and also the financial loss. The third thing is now everybody is talking, on artificial intelligence. The power of artificial intelligence is so huge that people can employ in every aspect of the engineering. I will talk to you some of the examples of how you can integrate artificial intelligence in terms of improving the safety of the process industry. Some of my examples will be based on the chemical industries. Since I am a chemical engineer and basically I have contributed more of my work towards chemical engineering. It doesn't mean that this is applied only to the chemical industries, but I can challenge and talk to you that in any kind of industry that you are associated with, whatever the application of artificial intelligence you need, that we can talk about. Let us talk about the status of the Indian industry. The Indian industry is sort of about 70% of our Indian industry are small and medium scale sectors, micro, small and medium scale sectors. And the large scale sectors are very, very small in this country as compared to the other developing nations or the developing nations. This is itself is a very big challenge. How do you implement safety? How do you implement safety in micro and small scale industries or medium scale industries, which is not even aware of what is happening around them? The technological challenges, or I saw a lot of presentations in the morning. Some of you are talking about robotics, some of you are talking about process optimization and so many other things. Will we be able to reach the industry with all these things? If you reach the industry with your recent technology, and what is the challenge for safety there? Will the safety be better or will the safety be worse? Because when whatever the algorithms or whatever you have developed do not attack or do not look at the safety of the process industry. So this is my worry. The second worry is Indian industries are about 60 to 70 years old. With no opportunity for upgradation of their process. Neither they have recruited people with high intelligence, from the national institutes such as NITs or IITs, or very few people are seen in the Indian industries. Maybe a couple of them in Reliance, or 4 or 5 of them in Adani's and other industries. But in major part of our industries, the diligency has not gone there. Therefore, the upgradation or the technological advancement in these industries has been a big challenge. This itself is, as our Prime Minister says, Atmanirbhar, and also our Prime Minister says, Made in India. And these are some of the key challenges and key opportunities. The challenges are opportunities, and these opportunities that exist for all the faculties, young faculties, or the faculties, senior faculties who are guiding research students, for everybody. So that is why today I'm here to talk to you on the safety aspects. First of all, when we talk about safety, we should delineate between personal safety and process safety. Personal safety is something which is an individual when he is in the shop floor, how he gets exposed or gets affected due to workplace injury or ill health. When we talk about process safety, it is a safety for everybody within the factory, outside the factory, and in the village or the city that is surrounded by the factory. For instance, the worst uh, case of an accident that India bears is the Bhopal gas tragedy, which struck in 1984. And of course, the very few plant personnel that got affected, but those people who got affected were all outside the plant within the 10 kilometers area in all the four directions. Even the rail, which stopped for a few minutes at the Bhopal station at that time, and everyone got exposed to the chemical. So process safety is something which is very huge and can affect large number of people at the same time within a fraction of second. So if you are not prepared to address the process safety in process industry, there is no meaning in running an industry. It's better that we can close down because we don't aim to run the industry to kill people. We aim to industry to process our materials very successfully and make a huge profit and contribute to the economy of our country. And industries, of course, are the backbone of our economy. So therefore, what we are talking about, we are talking about the technology, facilities, and personnel. In all these three areas, how can we improve the process safety or the safety and security, and therefore the design at the design stage itself, we can reduce the risk in all the above key three areas. Remember, these three areas are technology, facilities, and personnel. Technology means what type of technology we're going to adopt. Are you going to construct an industry with absolute, up-to-date technology with all artificial intelligence incorporated and process controls are absolutely automated, and there is no need for any personnel to get involved into that, and it is highly rugged up, which can protect the person. Facilities means, how do you want to establish these facilities? I mean, do you want to do it in a larger scale? And do we have enough infrastructure and people to work on it? And how do we motivate people? Yeah, I mean, the workforce means a workforce is knowledgeable workforce, which an academic institute can develop and contribute to the industry. There is always a complaint that the academic institutes in our country are not generating people which are readily employable to the industry. This is a very, very big problem. Then personal, human centric. Humans have different brains. All human brains are not equal. The process industry is sort of empowered by the human error. Anything, anywhere, any accident happens, always people say it's a human error and then they escape, which is no way an excuse today. So therefore, how do we overcome this? We can overcome this only by employing an adequate technology that is highly rugged up and which will not allow the people to commit a mistake. So irrespective of the human brain. So although that means what the human will only work as a mechanical person or will simply do what he needs to do. So that is how we can overcome this. So can we do all that? And this is the question. As we proceed, we will see. So what is the agenda of today's presentation? Will be what is the research need? How do we import education and training? How do we get accredited? I mean, people see Indian market as a very huge market, but still, nobody is willing to come here and then invest and start a big country. Tesla has been talking to our government from a long time. It is not willing to open a manufacturing plant in India. Apple only does a few spare parts in India and doesn't want to do a full, an Apple iPhone, which we call it as an Indian-made iPhone, which is not happening. So how do we get accredited and say that our Indian industry and the Indian people are highly qualified and quite good enough to meet the Western knowledge or the Western technology that is implementable in India? So this is a very thing. And infrastructure. Infrastructure is something, which we have not concentrated. You see, look at the countries which have developed, simple countries like Malaysia, or Singapore or Vietnam, for instance. Today's Vietnam is something absolutely different than what you saw about 10, 15 years before. And Hong Kong, Taiwan. Taiwan today is one of the world's best in supercomputer computers, as well as the electronics in industry. So therefore, how do we look at it? People are talking about quantum computers these days. Quantum computers can jump a lot of many of our algorithm writing, or the way you wanted to control anything, or process controls especially. I mean, those things are even I don't know how many quantum computers we have in our country. As far as I know, today we do not have even a single quantum computers in our country. So manpower requirements, as I discussed, said before, how do we employ a good manpower, knowledge database, and industry support services? So these are going to be the major agenda, and I'll try to finish it within the allotted time of an hour, in another 30, 45 minutes, I think. So what technology we need? We need an undisputed technology, integration of safety at every step. We always depend on the technology from the developed nations. Why should we depend on technology on developed nations when the problems are all our own problems? For instance, if it is a question of treatment of a municipal waste, if it's a question of treatment of our water, or if it's a question of incorporating excellent process control systems and required electronics for India. Why not we do all that, instead depend on the Western technology, and those Western technology, when it comes, only the machine is installed here, and it is not been run as it was running in a Western country. And then you design shop floor equipments, process flow, space, absolute nonsense here. Some of I have gone to many process industries from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. I have noticed our industries are not using space intelligence. Successive processes are not placed in a successive way, and one process is done one end, and they move all the materials to the other end, and which creates a lot of safety issues. And the equipments, of course, we accept the heavy engineering. I think we are not manufacturing a fine engineering equipments that are required in our, for instance, sensors. So many sensors we need, and these sensors are different types. These days people are talking about biosensors for every application, irrespective of the type of industry. So these are the things. And then the next question is the inventory, asset integrity. How do we build our companies? Some of the chemical plants in abroad, which I visited in Japan, or other, they're like a five-star hotels. When you get into a chemical plant, or when you get into any refinery, for instance, you get down from your train in the Jamnagar, or get down in Manali in Chennai, or in Cochin in Kerala, you immediately smell hydrocarbon. Why do we get that? Or what is the problem? And any loss of vapor is a money, right? So that vapor could be a fuel now. So that is one thing. Asset integrity is not very good, and changing technologies now. No, now people wanted to move away from the fossil fuels to a biohydrogen, or they wanted to go for a use electricity for running the vehicles. So these are some of the technologies which is not yet reaching, and some of our bad neighbors are very good in doing all that. It is because we have not contributed from the academic side to all these technologies. What is safe upper and lower limits? How can we increase our inventory? How can we lower down for instance, when Corona was there, all our industries are shut down. Should we do like that, or in an emergency like that? So this has caused a very huge, loss not only for the industries, also loss for the government. How for 2 years, almost no industries were given. Should we do like that? Even though it was a government policy, because we never had an automated system of operation, all manual interventions have to be done, and the people have to be kept away from the pandemic. So our industries were closed down, which is very very bad. So do we have a technology to meet another pandemic like this? So these are all questions that we need to develop. Certainly think about it and then get prepared. All the faculties, all the students, these are the areas that should be your future project work. That should be the PhD dissertation. That should be your masters or other thesis presentations. And consequences of deviation. If something happens in the industry, suddenly yeah, nowadays the cyber attack is very, very bad. We wanted to any industry, the process control systems. If somebody goes inside and triggers one simple button, the whole plant will either go on fire or something like that. Remember, you have seen what's the video in the Hamas. What Israel did, Israel made every pager to explode. Just happened. That's the technology. Even to attack an enemy, a country can do like that. Imagine what sort of information we have on our own systems. This is something highly, highly questionable. Safety information. Do we have every information, every bit of what we do in the process industry on our fingertips? No, absolutely not. They don't even realize what will happen in an emergency. How do I get out of the industry? What is the route in which I will get out of the industry? Will will my process escalate? Something happens. Will my neighboring factory be affected, or will people in the village be affected? There is no information. The industries do not really worry about it. Simply, they think that they should start manufacturing the product and put it in an emergency or in any fire. Simple fire happens. All our industries are run on electricity, and these things, a small leak and a fire happens, and there is no way by which we could really stop people from getting affected because of this. So these are the areas, technological areas. Well, every discipline of engineering, irrespective of the thing, there is. Also, I wanted to say there is only a very thin line dividing the discipline these days. I've seen recently when I was in United States attending a few seminars, I saw that in a medical area, medical doctors are working, chemical engineers are working, mechanical engineers are working on the devices, on the fluid mechanics, looking at how that flow happens in a body. And these days engineers do not integrate with doctors. Doctors know only about the body and the clinical effects. But if engineers, only when you interact with them, you can come out the physics of what is happening. Blood is not flowing to the brain if somebody is getting affected because of Parkinson's, or somebody is getting affected because of other diseases, Alzheimer, for instance. How basically it's something that the blood doesn't flow, and then the neurons fail, and then the things happen, right? So there is a link, cut in the link. So unless you design or you develop a model, how this happens, how do the doctors improve their diagnostic methods? So artificial intelligence and so many other things, can help you to model the existing data, and then you can come out with the devices that can really help you to, do some of the things. And these are the areas that you need to definitely work on. Occupational safety and health. I know some of the. Let me go very specific on some of the areas. The environmental health. This is a very bad problem. About 15 years before, if you see if somebody is smoking, they said this person is going to get a cancer now. Now, I don't have to say today, if you walk out of my house, if I'm on the street, for more than 10 hours in a day, will be getting a cancer, because the air is polluted so much that that if I'm there for an hour, it's equivalent to smoking 10 cigarettes. How do we stop at all these things? How do we employ our air quality? Delhi every time is our headquarters. Shame on India. Our capital is so much polluted every time during the winter time. Do we have any solution for this? Do our engineers work on this? And unless you come and work, it's not simply people in environmental engineering. You see, everybody is there. Everybody whomsoever has no specific area, he says, I'm working on environmental engineering. But that's not the case, right? You have to be a very specialist in looking at the profile of air, profile of water or soil, quality in rural. Prime Minister is talking about the rural India. How do we upgrade our rural India? Some of that, you don't have to do anything. Look at the government projects, associate with yourself with the government projects. That itself will be a great contribution for improving the safety of our nation. Correlate disease profile to the air quality in location wise. I have seen, for instance, in some of the time, if you go in interior Kadalur, people get children who are born with either no lips or the lips stuck in the lips here. If you go to the Bengal, people have a lot of arsenic problems. If you go to other nuclear facilities and areas, people get a lot of skin dermatology related issues. So the location wise, there are problems. And if you go to the villages, people get exposed to all kinds of wood. They burn the wood and the fumes, and everybody is asthmatic there, and a lot of health effects are happening. So you can start a project. You can think of doing a project in some 10 villages around the National Institute of Technology, Puducherry, and you can write a proposal and then see. I'm going to profile the disease around our NIT Puducherry, and will come out with a model that can prevent this to happen. So this is a fantastic work area that people should definitely concentrate. Toxicology, chemical and biological agents, where yesterday I was just listening to a news where in one of the countries in Africa, where China is doing a lot of this gold mining thing, and there people, some of the people have to drink the water that was contaminated from the gold mining, and about 40-50 people died on that. So how can this happen? Due to chemical industries pollution, and biological agents similarly. Biological agents are so bad, and they develop in different locations depending on the type of effluents that we leave it out. Can we profile them? Can we come with an antidote for all these things? If somebody is getting affected due to chemical poisoning, you go to a local doctor or go to a government hospital, for instance. Do we have an antidote? This is a big question now. Absolutely, people say that no, they just give you. No, sometimes after poisoning, they give you a IV, and that takes the poison all through the body and kills you faster than giving you a life. This sort of awareness itself, conducting seminars, workshops, local people, incorporating the health professionals itself is a very, very great exercise and a good research project that one can contribute. What I have seen is in abroad and in my own area, in my own career, if you see, I concentrated on a specific area. I never deviated to 10 different areas, where I wanted to. I do nothing. Instead, I spent my whole career on one single effort, and that is on safety. And I looked at the safety of all the process industry, nothing else. So you have a fantastic opportunity. Instead of writing projects and other things, this and that, you can definitely work on projects related to safety. Then the workplace comfort, physical ergonomics. For instance, today our country in every process industry is a global burden of disease. India is contributing a very heavy burden on the disease profile. This is work-related musculoskeletal disorders, WMSDS. These work-related musculoskeletal disorders are very huge in our country, contributed by the process industry, because a person works for 8 hours in a shift and he's doing in a wrong posture, and our mother, every one of our mothers, see, when she is 50 or 55, she has a back pain, she has to replace her knees, she is not able to walk. Even I'm not able to walk for that matter properly. These are all some of the diseases that we pick up due to our occupation, and lot of profiling of these process sector wise is required, and the young faculties must definitely concentrate on these areas and bring down the global burden of disease due to work related musculoskeletal disorders, especially from the process industry. Psychosocial hazards, cognitive aspects. A lot of our countries still, although we are developing economy, still, if you go to our villages and other things, due to psychosocial issues, a lot of and those psychosocial issues are being brought to the workplace, and it is increasing the workplace hazards. For instance, if I give you a very small example, somebody is poor and not even able to get a ration, and he's so unhappy and he's weak and he goes to the workplace. For instance, he works in a car company and a car manufacturing company, and he's not able to. He's thinking the same thing and not concentrating on the conveyor belt. He might do a lot of mistakes. So these kinds of hazards are much prevalent in our country due to psychosocial problems. Epidemiology is like, for instance, what happened in Corona, prevalence of risk. So those kind of studies, although a lot of medical colleges are concentrating on the epidemiology, and it's only based on the clinical approaches that they are working on it, but still biomarkers for a lot of these diseases are not available. And identifying a biomarker itself is a very huge task. Unless engineers associate with the doctors, I think it is not possible, because engineers have got a different brain, as I believe, and we can definitely concentrate on this. Then coming to the next aspect is the risk assessment method. So this is risk assessment is a very common terminology which is applied to all types of industries, and so here you find that people use it in a different way. For example, to give you an example of the risk assessment, for instance, if you go to the Port Trust of India, or if you go to our aerospace industry, or if you go to our space industry, people have a different classification methodologies on the risk assessment. So that brings an ambiguity on the true assessment of risk. So can we unify all of them? Can we work on it? I mean, this is a typical problem in our country, because it's all started pre-independence and still continuing, when we don't need somebody else's brain. We have our own brain and we can definitely work on it. And we must do, for instance, we can apply some of the excellent technologies like the artificial intelligence or the CFD, computational fluid dynamics. And I met someone who is an expert in fluid dynamics here. And, we can use all that, and definitely we can, model these systems. And when you do model, I see a lot of papers in the morning on modeling of this and that, but whether do they reach the industry? I mean, if you just model it, just publish it or present it in a conference, get your degree and go out, it's of no use unless you put it in practice. Like the safety engineers we do, we always believe in what is happening in the shop floor, in the industry. So unless you do this, I mean, this is not going to help the country in any way. We graduate, we go, we make our bread and butter, but ultimately the industry is not improving. We want to be a developed nation. And people have been saying, I'm now 62 years old. I have been hearing this in 1978. It will become in 2000. We will be a developed nation. Somebody said 2020. Now we are saying 2027, and somebody said 2034 only will become a developed. I mean, this will continue to say that we will become a developed nation, developed nation. It's like a come tomorrow. I mean, which tomorrow? We don't know. It's something like that. Unless the young faculties come forward, we align to yourself without any prejudice. I think we work on all these areas. I think we are not going to improve the safety. So coming to the special needs of, I will not be able to go each and everything because of lack of time, but definitely I'll talk about on few things. Small and micro, small scale industries, medium scale industries, they have a special needs. Do we go and really address those special needs? We are only blaming them. For instance, within Tamil Nadu, in Tirupur, a lot of issues of this dying and dying water becoming untreated, and the groundwater getting polluted. Electroplating industry, a lot of industry problems. Welding manufacturing industry, a lot of problems are there. All safety and environment, health related issues. Can we go as a team and then look at the problem and get a funding from the government? The government is here to help us. If you promise them that I will do this, they will definitely fund you. Even MHRD can fund this kind of projects, right? So you can definitely work on all these areas and help the industries to grow so that our nation also grows. And I know something like, we must have a, what do you say? It's not a motivational talk, or I'm not a politician or anything, but I wanted to tell you, you have to possess your country. Only when you, that is what I did. And, whether I was successful or not, at least I'm able to make this presentation before you. So that much, I think I feel highly satisfied, and my lifetime is going out. So safety concerns of computer controlled jobs, these days, it's all changing, right? Simply we say that there is a logic that the plant will shut down. There is a logic that this will come into force immediately. I mean, all these logics are constructed on what? There is no scientific justification on all these logics. So we will have to look at on all these logics and see whether those logics, especially for critical control systems, you will have to identify in every process industry, we will have to identify a critical process control systems, and those critical process control systems, how do they operate, how we are operating it, and what is the safety of that. If that fails, do we have an alternative? Or if that fails, can it trigger a major accident? This kind of information is not available with the process industry. It's not available with any process industry, not to talk about SMEs, So these are the problems. I think we have to, yet another problem with SMEs is they cannot afford to pay you for doing a project for them, So that has to be done from our own resources in terms of getting a project from the government, and then we do it. That's sort of an approach that we need to do. Then measuring the process safety performance. How do we, my profit has gone from, my turnover has gone from 100 crores to 200 crores. So, okay, fine. But what about the work-related injuries? What about the people who have gone on absenteeism and in the hospitals? This 100 to 200 crores. If you really put it on the man, how do you estimate the cost of a person who is getting an asthma due to a workplace injury, or that cost may not be 500 crores or 1,000 crores. It may be anything. It may be any lakhs of, because based on the skill set of that person, it is invaluable. So when you measure the safety performance, you should have to also measure the safety performance with respect to the safety parameters, like, for instance, how many people got injured and how many of them. So that will really help them the true meaning of the change in the turnover or change in the expansion in the programs. And then what we need also, we should also help the government, sometimes to have a science-based legislations. Indian industries always is complaining that the regulations are too much on us, and we are not able to do this and this. Please go and talk to them, and tell the government. For instance, MHRD can take an initiative tell the government all the rules and regulations. It's a Factory Act, or it's a Tamil Nadu state rules, or Gujarat state rules, or whatever be the thing based on the safety. Whether these or science-based judgments, or let's just put it as a rule. Sometimes they just put as a rule, which does not help in improving the safety of the any process industry. So I think MHRD can take a huge project. Pull all the young faculties of different areas, and then do a research project, and then come out with something that the government can implement, which is science-based, science-based, engineering-based, and that will help the industries also to follow, and there will be a lot of benefits, and that will multiply many-fold increase in the profitability of the process industry. Reliability engineering. This is something that I really wanted to talk to you. There are so many process equipments in the process plants. Do you know how many years are these process plants, process equipments are valid? Is it the one that the manufacturer specified? Even sometimes you find that a pump in a industry can work more than what manufacturers specified. A particular company pump, another particular company pump of the same capacity, of the same rating, will not work for even the manufacturer specified time. So how do we do this? Because most of the process control fails is failure of the equipments, and the failure of the equipments is not related to the reliability. How do we generate a data? A particular company manufactured a particular sensor or a pump or a, other process equipment, and how do we depend on its reliability? How do we improve the performance of that machine? Unless you give a feedback mechanism. This year you bought something and then you say that this is not good, so I'm investing on another thing. The investment can also be stopped. That is siphoning from your profit. So this is something that, anything on sensors or interlocks or equipments or a reactor, or it's a nuclear, or it's an aerospace, or it is any sort of industry, there is an excellent opportunity for people to get yourself involved. Today I saw there are beautiful questions were asked by some of the people who are judging the presentations. But I truly, I'm inspired by the questions that they asked. But then they, I was really wondering whether a very good research effort can be put on all these things, so that the people in the industry are, benefited by this. And artificial intelligence for automated data generation, huge volume. That's every college has started data science and artificial intelligence. Every, 10 years before, suddenly when I was working in chemical engineering department, CLRA, a lot of students used to come from the MSc in biotechnology, MTech in biotechnology, BTech in biotechnology. I don't know where all of them have gone there, and whether to that extent the academic courses that we gave, whether do we have a biotechnological industry today? Today, a lot of people are coming with data sciences and artificial intelligence. And how many of them is there going to be a new technology? I think this is going to be a new technology. That's what people are telling. So this new technology that we are looking at it, can it be artificial intelligence based or something beyond that? I mean, we have not put our brains, on fundamental science, which will also enhance the safety of the process industry. So these are something, the capacity building have to be done from the capacity building have to come from only academic institutes. It cannot come from the industry, right? It has to come from the academic. Unless you educate people, how will they think about it and put it? So all faculty members today, whom are listening to me, I hope from the other departments of this Puducherry, NIT is also listening to me, and all of you have an opportunity to definitely work in these areas. Yes, this is one of the security I talked about. And, today, the due diligence says that our process industries are a soft target for terrorist attacks. Just imagine if somebody comes with one track of, RDX and attacks the library building where we are sitting today, terrorist attacks here. What will happen to all of us? This is the sort of thinking that is there in the terrorist mind. They wanted to attack the Indian intelligence. They wanted to asset management, kill, for instance, stock market. They want to attack the stock market and erase all the data. They wanted to get into a Reserve Bank of India and erase all the data. I mean, what do we engineers sitting here and what are we doing for this? How are we? Is it only the IT industry which is responsible for it? No, all of us are responsible. How do we do that? I mean, we have to prioritize our research areas, and these research areas should be based on the safety. I said safety is welfare of all of us, and safety is welfare for our country. These things are being practiced. In China during the Corona time, that face recognition was there. All of you must be knowing, and they spotted people so that they don't allow it to pandemic to spread. Based on those kind of they have foreseen the technology. Maybe they thought that we would be better. That's why they can spread the other people. But then the technology was not available in our country to do it. In the second pandemic, second part of the pandemic, we were really worst hit. How many hospitals never had any facilities to treat. People were all stranded in the ambulance and other places. And this is really a very, very worst part of it. And disaster preparedness. I was just asking in one of the disaster preparedness meeting of first-time responders for all government offices. I was asking them, say, for instance, if a big industry like the Reliance Petrochemicals or the Manali Petrochemicals or Manali refinery or the other thing, if it goes on fire, okay, if 500 people get affected, do we have a facility to relocate them? How many hospitals do we have in and around Chennai or in and around Kerala or the other major industries are there? And in one of the accidents in Mexico, within 15 minutes, they could assimilate 900 doctors and about 5,000 paramedicals and 10,000 buses from the transport of the place. Can we do all that? We have a during Bhopal, were we able to do anything? We killed 10,000 people at the same spot. So this kind of disorder preparedness, something we should take it up as a research project and then alert the government, tell them, unless this goes from IITs or today's, the government believes only NITs and IITs. I'm so happy. So you have a plenty of opportunity to propose research projects on all these areas and then come out with excellent projects. And of course, I skipped this. And I'll skip this also. This is the next thing, we have always learned from the past, anywhere, even in our life, we have learned from the past. We lost something, how did we lose something? We think about it so that we are careful next time we don't lose it. But Indian industries are facing so much accidents. We never analyze the accidents. We never, understand the consequences of the accidents. What are the causes of the accidents? And then put them and strengthen our the process industry so that the same kind of accidents do not occur. So this is an effort that has to go in Indian industry. I've been telling the government wherever is possible that we need to start a safety research institute in any, either it could be a CSIR or it could be ICMR or it could be anyone, how do we start a safety research institute? So this is something that has not happened at all in our country. So some of you, I think, in their senior people will definitely take up this and then, look for, talk to the government and, so set up one of it. For instance, the mechanical engineering department today in Puducherry could be a center for excellence in safety research, right? Once you have a center for excellence, you can convert it into a safety research institute of the NIT-PUDHUCHEERY. Possibilities are there. Young faculty, you are all there. You can definitely think of it, and this is not something which is not feasible. Definitely it is feasible, and all of you can think about it. Then there is another science called inherently safer in alternative chemicals, inherently safer design methods of plants. You don't go for very expensive materials. You go for, if you want to use some, for instance, examples of chemical industries, you don't want to use a solvent, instead I use water. So solvents, disposal of the solvents, and once in the process, they become highly hazardous and highly flammable. Every process, every pharmaceutical industry is facing this problem. Medicines are required, but these medicines are produced only using the solvents. And tell you the truth, there are also other issues there. The solvents, the first time they use it, that they send it for the Western market. The second time the solvents they use it, they sell it in the Indian market. The third solvent that they use it, they send it for the third world country. So this sort of a human being are all same. So how do we use an inherently safer technologies and process methods so that the human beings are also rated equally everywhere? I think some of the Indians are most brainy people across the world. Everywhere the contributions are given by the Indian people. So can we just look at it? And these are all the safety issues. And nanotechnology, we were talking, I don't know where it has gone. I don't know, NIT-PUDHUCHEERY, are you all working on nanotechnology or rather? No, I don't know. But these nanomaterials have seen a remarkable effect in the process industry. Yes. But what is the safety of these nanomaterials? Can it go in the respiratory tract of the human beings and so on? And I don't know, some sort of a research has to be done on this, and some projects have to be initiated, because still the process industry, high-end process, for instance, in semiconductor chip manufacturing, a lot of nano materials are used, for engraving, and this people can get exposed to this. But this is an era of semiconductors, like the huge competition going on across the world, right? China wanted to capture Taiwan because Taiwan is the world's semiconductor industry now. So these are the issues that we need to, unless we rise up to our level. What do we do? I mean, simply based on agriculture thing, can we become a developed nation? No. Unless you concentrate on electronics, you will never become a developed nation. You have to. Electronics means electronics. Once the electronics are, we are semiconductors, we are strong, then our defense applications will go up, And supersonic missiles, North Korea is able to do, and we are not able to do. And so many things that we need to definitely work on these things. And the safety research forum should all join together. Go to abroad, you go to, even Korea. Korea is in doldrums today, but then South Korea, because of political instability. But then everywhere, the other nations you go, there are so many safety research forums, academics, research scientists, industry experts, they all join together. So many workshops they conduct, meaningful workshop, and exhibitions they do and display all the safety products. Who will organize this? Whether the industry will do or the academic institutions will do, who will do this? Who is going to build the cat? And this is something, which definitely a thing that we need to put it in our mind, or can an organization definitely take a lead role like the NIT and then address these things. And of course, process safety information, which I already mentioned, that people are interested in the products, process yield, and all that, but not worried about their own products, their own product safety. If they distribute it in the market, if something happens in the market, for instance, there are so many warehouses, godowns, which go on fire, right? And all these materials burn and go. But when you gave your product out, did you also warn them that if you don't store them or cannot adequately do that you may go on fire? These kind of informations are not available across the process industry. I think something that we can get hold of major industries, talk to them and get industry-sponsored projects and help them to develop this education and training. Now, Now, so many institutes have come out with the MTech in industrial safety now. But I'm sorry, I have no comments on this, but we definitely need an excellent faculty and committed faculty who can, nurture good safety scientists for our country. Um, yeah, industry support services. Somebody should also help the industry, right? So some of the faculties you can join together and you can go and do a risk assessment of a safety, a small industry, micro and small scale industry. Make small, profits for your department, which you can make use it to for a larger projects and in your area. Safety audits, industry requirements are huge now. Organizations like NIT or IITs or other, you go and tell the director of industrial safety that we will help the industry and we will assess the safety of them. They would be very happy. And you have innovative thoughts and ideas. Being an extra academic institutions, I think we should come forward and then do that. And then. Manpower, yes. Let me talk about this once more. At least we need 50 faculties from different disciplines to accomplish whatever I have said. So I think we also need a lot of technical staff, project assistants, 50 research fellows to work on every basic research area in every institution. I think that India will become, no doubt, India will certainly become. Somebody has to think about it. This broader thinking has not come. So that is why I'm putting this today. And a broader sort of thinking is necessary so that everyone is benefited. I'm sure if you do this, your career will be definitely be a very brightened career you will have. Artificial intelligence in healthcare industry, today operation surgeries, somebody is required to do a surgery in a pancreas, for instance, how do you reach pancreas, which is in a very difficult location here? And if somebody wants to do a replacement of a lung, so you can build up robots or something which is artificial intelligence based, not on a simple algorithm like what people. I don't know, many research papers still they concentrate on only on algorithm based robotic things. You can go for artificial intelligence models. Look at what are the data available in the literature and then train an artificial intelligence models and then apply it along with the robotic or other algorithms, integrate them and benefit a lot. So these are all required for increased diagnostic accuracy, treatment planning and forecasting outcome area. I'm so happy to tell you that only the engineers, you can do this. Doctors can only treat. They can only, when you give directions, they can treat. If you don't give directions, if you work only on your area, the healthcare in our country will not get improved. Go to any developed nation and look at other than doctors who are all working in the medical area. So look at it, healthcare is most important. So therefore, just to summarize that, engineering disciplines, whether it's a chemical, you can work on process selection, operating conditions, safe operating envelope, process design, process control, safeguards, monitoring. This is civil-based, site layout, elevated structures, grading, drainage, buildings, facility siting, infrastructure. For mechanical, you can work on pressure, envelope, design, rotating equipment, codes, monitoring, and so on, codes and monitoring. And if somebody is from electrical, I'm just reading it out so that all of you can hear it very loudly. Reliable power, arc flash, protection, area classification, grounding, bonding, and so many areas, and all these people can work on medicine or aerospace or automobiles, instrumentation, computer, and so on. And safety requires every discipline. Every discipline requires a safety. Nobody can say that I don't need a safety engineer and I can work independently. It is not possible. I challenge with anyone. It is not possible. And finally, the accreditation. When we develop these technologies, we should publish it, as an academics, also write a lot of patents, and apply them to that. apply them for accreditation, So these accreditations help. So foreign players can come and recognize you, and they can give you, help you in starting new industries in this country. And new academic courses can be started here. And they will be more open. You don't have to really prepare academic notes, whatever is available from those academic institutions by collaborating with them. I think that is possible and that is also achievable. And security, as I said, we have to have a capacity building to assess the vulnerability of vital installations. The simple physical manpower security doesn't mean that it's a security of cyber security or it's a security of process control systems. So those things are also required. And of course, other nations are giving due diligence that India is vulnerable in this area, and we will have to quickly rise up to do all this. This is the one simple, video which I. So this is an artificial intelligence-based sprinkler system in an industry. See, here is a big shop floor there, and they're putting a fire, and so it has recognized the heat, that particular area, that digital eye, and that has specifically is dousing the. This is an artificial intelligence-based sprinkler system. This sort of process control systems are required for our process industry. I'll show you another example of. Yes, another example of what Sweden has done. See, they have put a charging line. You don't need to really have a charging stations where all your scooters or thing is going on fire. Instead, the road itself they have done in such a way that very safe. So while you drive the car, you drive a scooter, it gets charged. This is an artificial intelligence-based system. So how do we develop such systems in our country when we are in the just beginning to use electronic vehicles? When we are also planning huge highways we are building, can we start this for instance, in Bangalore to Chennai? Can we do this? So do we have a technology to do this? So if you ask Sweden, they will ask you a lot of money. But can we really work on our self-dependent way and do this? So these are some of the examples that I have shown you. Also, I just scanned through the literature. The earliest literature that I had was in 2022, which talks about how we can look for articles, look for data mining, basically, on the health industry, whether we can use artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, neural networks, both for healthcare and medicine, and can we combine them and then for integrated with safety policies, safety incentives, safety training, communication, safety planning, and safety controlling. Can we do this sort of a sort of a literature survey, which is artificial intelligence based, or maybe you can chat GPT these days. It's become quite easier these days to get a literature. So based on that, they have developed attributes. The first attribute would be on safety policies. Second would be on incentives for clinicians, and third would be for clinicians and practical training, patients training, and then the communication and interaction. This sort of attributes they have developed, and if we can use a model based on this, I think if we can develop. This is another example which uses the implication of artificial system for development and governance examples for relevant systems of safety strategies. For instance, component reliability is insufficient for safety. This is what we have learned a lesson. And artificial intelligence system says identify and eliminate hazards at system level. So examples, system hazard informed system design and safety control sector. So if you implement it This way, you identify, you understand the levels of different levels of attributes, and then classify them. Based on that, you develop your algorithm. I think that becomes the thing. So I'm extremely thankful for Puducherry NIT for allowing me to present this. I think I'm looking forward to one or two interactions. Somebody wanted to ask some questions on.
So actually, we are using more personal protective equipment. So how much efficient they are really?
The personal protective equipments or the last resort. The first resort is if you cannot eliminate the hazard. First thing is use technology to eliminate the hazard. Then the distance yourself. Don't go near the hazard. These two things you cannot go. Then use a personal protective. When you use a personal protective equipment, that means you are given an undertaking that I am taking risk.
Then I will go and eat outside.
By using, for instance, if how many people get killed and even though they use a helmet and go in the road. So if you go on the road, if you control the speed, use a helmet, then it's your choice. If you want to rush through the road and thinking that you are using a helmet, I mean, that is your choice. I mean, choice is on us. But then if you talk about the personal protective equipment, that means you are surrendering yourself, saying that I am taking a risk because I am using a person. That's it.
Any question from you, sir?
Sir, for chemical industries, most of the countries, some of the reactions are banned. In India, we can do any kind of reactions. So, in terms of policy, we can make a comment.
Yeah, I think that is a debatable topic. There are a lot of unlicensed technologies that are very old in other countries. Technology that the country has banned, they have been now come into our country, and then our people are using those technologies here. One thing is we need money, we need support, so therefore we are doing it. That's what even the developed nations were doing about 50 years before. They want to do. So, and then the second point is now, can we have as I said, there are inherent safety methods and technologies are available. You have alternative chemicals, alternative pathways. So somebody has to invest on chemistry, right? So this is something, which is bothering a lot of the work that we do in the science laboratories, even in CSIR and other places, doesn't reach at the ground level, Can we improve this? Question, this topic, and this has to be looked into. Thank you so much. The fonts are nice. Yeah. Arial. Usually I use Arial.
A colorful slide.
Thank you so much. I put effort in preparing the slides.
Any
questions in online?
yeah. Any question from online participants?
There are only 11 people.
Actually, sir, we made 4 links for 4 sessions. We keep one as a main link, which will come for inaugural keyboard lecture as well as material science and biophysics. So that's what they are unable to skip. We have no interest to make skipping. For this, you just click on this link. For this, you want to click on. Don't want to go like this.
This sort of an effort, to tell you the truth, about 5,000 references have come out with this presentation. Of course, I will present it in 10 other places. The effort that I just wanted to do it, nothing wrong. Then ultimately it has to reach to people, and young people should get motivated on, and this is all absolutely feasible. I think that's not the same as the expert.
Phone number and Taramba. No, phone number Taramba.
Yeah.
Questions? No questions, sir. No question from.
Yeah.
So we had a very wonderful session with Dr. Surianarayanan sir. He's actually a senior scientist, retired senior scientist from Central Leather Research Institute, Chennai. So whatever we have come across today is a very broad idea about industrial safety and very specific about process safety. But we go through into each and every topic. Each and every topic itself is a very big ocean to understand. So whatever we have witnessed today is a general guidance of what are the areas and what are the opportunities we have in the field of industrial safety and specifically on process safety. So I hope each and every participant will be enlightened with this lecture. And also each and every participant will take efforts on taking up certain research problems from these areas and to work towards the safer nation and also to a safer world. So once again, I thank Dr. Surianarayanan sir for enlightening us with this wonderful lecture. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. So as a matter of respect, I request the conference chairman.
No. Safety engineer. You are the safety engineer. You should be.
You are
No.
You are the chairman.
You're on, sir.
This is just a small
Appa.
love and respect from NIT-PUDHUCHEERY.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for coming, greeting us and enlightening us.
Thank you so much. So please.
Thank you, sir.
It's like when you log out of your session.